With the auspicious lamp lit, it is time to formally set the tone for this summit. It is a distinct honor to invite a leader whose vision continues to propel IMED to new heights. He is a mentor and the driving force behind the academic and professional success of this institute. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our director, Dr. Shravan Karwekar sir.
I know it's Saturday, it's post-lunch. Thanks, I mean, so many corporate professionals who have decided to spend their half day here, that too on the weekend. Thank you so much. And I just looked at my speech, the page that I took the printout. I just realized I was telling Mr. Joshi also, probably half of the speech is already discussed in the conference room over a cup of tea. And anyway, I have to make up for the time that we started late. So I'll keep it very brief. Chief guest for today, Mr. Amol Joshi, Managing Director of Accenture India. And not only the MD of Accenture India, I'll tell you some brands that he was and he is associated with. Fitbit, Google, Apple, Vodafone. You cannot ask for anything else. We have the most appropriate chief guest for Industry Institute Partnership Summit. Honorable Vice-Chancellor of Bharati Vidyapeeth Team to University, Dr. Vivek, Saoji sir. My colleague, Dr. Mahadik, faculty members, dear alumni, invitees, industry leaders, most importantly students of the last year of the programs of MBA, MCA and BBA. Ladies, men, very good evening. Good afternoon, good evening. Yeah. A very warm welcome to all of you. Let me begin with a simple thought. Business or technology graduation today is certainly not an end point. It is just a transition point. The real question is not whether we will get a job. I know probably many students would get surprised. The real question today is really not about whether you will get a job, but how quickly you will become relevant, responsible, and reliable at a job that you join. I think this is something that we need to understand, and that's the reason that we have all the industry leaders today on this forum called Industry Institute Partnership Summit. Let me put forth a few more unavoidable, very interesting, probably critiques, some pointers to my industry friends. In fact, we keep on saying that graduates are not productive, graduates are not aligned with, they don't have the skills that are aligned with the industry demands. But let me also give the perspective of the academia and the students. You know, today we are living in a time where skills have a very short life. You know, something called half-life. I think I was talking to Mr. Joshi also the other day. Those who understand physics, you know, there is something called half-life of radioactive element. Half-life is, you know, the number of, the time or the number of years in which you become 50%. You know, the freshness becomes 50%. And by one of the reports, it says that today the skills, the half-life of skills, it is only 3 years. Every 3 years, your skill demand, your skill freshness becomes 50%. And our degree programs, the duration is 4 years and 5 years if we also count undergraduate degrees. The job roles today, dear industry leaders, dear industry friends, the job roles are evolving faster than the curricula are evolving. You know, please keep that in mind. We are a university. We are having some compliances. And these are, you know, the times and the days and the world that we are living in. Moreover, the expectations from young friends, the expectations from young professionals are far higher than technical knowledge alone. Because industry always demands not only Python skills, but also teamwork. Not only JavaScript, but also learning attitude. You know, all these things, the more expectations, more demands, and obviously that is something is very correct from the industry's perspective also, and we do understand that organizations today have to sustain with reducing margins, uncertain environments. Of course, this is the perspective of the industry for the students, that industries today are sustaining. They have to sustain the reduced margins, they have to sustain the uncertain environments, and stakeholder pressures, if I may add. That's very important, and stakeholders right from your investors, your customers, your competitors, everything put together. A lot of pressures coming in, and that's the reason that we need to understand. We do understand. The students as well as academia, we need to understand that the industry today is not just hiring the qualification holders. The degrees probably is not the qualification, but more of skills is the qualification. It's more of problem solvers, it's more of collaborators, lifelong learners is what industry is looking for. And I think this shift, we can understand the learning, teaching can happen not only in the classrooms. And that's why the events like IIPS. I think the reason that we have IIPS is, it's not designed as a ceremonial event. Please understand, all students, academia, as well as I would like to bring attention to the industry leaders, it's certainly not ceremonial event. This is the 13th IIPS for your information. For past 13 years, we have been trying to bring the industry, academia together. But we are bringing them together for a lot of reasons. And one of the primary objectives is to understand from you very frankly that what we don't provide. What is it that we don't have? What is it that I as a student do not possess when I join the industry? And I think this is a platform where industry speaks candidly about the expectations. Institutions listen, and I assure you on behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth, Deemed University and IMED, that institutions listen and realign with whatever the outcomes of the summits like IIPS bring, and the students get the clarity. I think one of the primary reasons and the objectives of IIPS is the clarity that students get. And I would be very happy if even one student ends up getting the clarity what he or she wants to do in life after graduating from IMED. It would be a great success. I think IIPS is meant for that. And that's the reason that we call it, this is not really only for the ceremony. Just to tell you about IMED, we are on a path to reset IMED. We understand the disruptions, we understand the VUCA, so-called, the jargon that the corporate industry keeps on throwing at us. And then we start looking at what is VUCA, what is disruption. But yeah, we are at a time where we are, at IMED, we are resetting ourselves. In fact, the hashtag today is not hashtag IMED, but the hashtag is hashtag IMED now. Because we are bringing a lot of changes, right from the curricula, right from the classrooms. We are moving from classrooms to consulting. I think the other day I was talking to Mr. Joshi about some initiatives like Bharati Business Clinic, where we are trying to become the consultants to the industry, where we are trying to not only discuss case studies, but we would like to really solve the case studies, and these challenges are something that we are trying to bring through the business clinic. We have our teachers take up the internships every year. Not many institutes you will find that, the business school teachers are undergoing internships, they are going to the companies, they are solving the problems, they are working on the projects and trying to understand the ruthlessness, if I may call it, that the corporate has or the industry has. And I think the intent is simple. When our IMED students enter the organizations, they should already think like insiders and not the outsiders. They should not feel any surprises there when they join the companies, and that's the reason that we are trying to bring different projects, different assignments, different challenges. Of course, it's a beginning. I'm not saying that it is happening at a large scale, but we have already started working on that. I also would like to give us a small message to all students, dear students, especially to graduating students. And let me be very, very clear that you are not only passive participants here. You are as good as, or rather you are future colleagues of the people who are sitting in front rows. You are going to join one of these companies probably tomorrow. So I think you just cannot be sitting very, very passively and listening to the inaugural, the panel discussions and the keynote addresses that we have, and just listen carefully, and not only what is being said, but you have to also understand why it is being said. I think that is something that you have to keep in mind as role that you have to play as participant in today's IIPS. I wish all of you a half day, I won't say a day, but a half day full of meaningful insights, a lot of purposeful connections, a good dinner as well. And I'm sure that this will add a lot of value to not only the students, but also to the members of the industry and the corporate. Sir, I'm happy to tell you, VC sir, that we have 70 plus registrations. In fact, I don't want to call them registrations, but the invitees who have shown interest in joining IIPS, out of which about 20 are the new companies. So we are building new communications, new connections with these companies, and which I think is a big achievement of this IIPS 2026. I once again welcome all the industry leaders. I thank Honorable Chief Guest and Honorable Vice-Chancellor, and I wish you a great insightful sessions in the IIPS 2026. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for those inspiring words and for setting such a profound context for today's Industry Institute Partnership Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to a moment of gratitude and honor. To begin the felicitation ceremony, it is our privilege to honor our chief guest, Mr. Amol Joshi, whose presence has added immense value to this summit. May I now request our Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Vivek Saoji sir, to kindly come forward and felicitate Mr. Joshi with a token of our gratitude. Thank you so much, sir. As a mark of our respect and appreciation for his visionary leadership and constant guidance, may I now request our Director, Dr. Shravan Karvika sir, to kindly felicitate and welcome Honorable Dr. Vivek Saoji sir to this summit. Thank you so much, sir. We are honored to welcome Honorable Dr. Vivek Saoji sir, Vice-Chancellor, Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be University, Pune, a distinguished surgeon, academician, and education leader. Dr. Saoji brings over 34 years of teaching and clinical experience and 2 decades of academic leadership. He has been instrumental in advancing medical education, curriculum, reform, institutional government, and accreditation excellence across premier institutions. His leadership continues to strengthen Bharati Vidyapeeth's academic vision and national standing. May I now request sir to please address the gathering.
Good afternoon. Dignitaries on the dais, chief guest of today's function, Mr. Amol Joshi, my colleague and director of IMED, Dr. Kadam, the vice principal, Dr. Mahadik, all the industry leaders who have taken out their precious time to be here amongst us this afternoon and evening and spend better part of Saturday evening with us here. My colleagues from the university, heads of the departments, faculty members of IMED, and my dear students. First of all, in the introduction it was said that I am a surgeon. Yes, I am a surgeon. Of course, I don't do any clinical work of late since assuming these responsibilities. So, I am an odd man out. I think you're all into industry, you're all talking of technology, management, entrepreneurship and so on and so forth. And my job is to, in those days we used to cut open everything. Nowadays we poke with the minimally invasive surgeries and other things. But earlier on, started with some coaching classes, even subsequently 1968 went into primary education, but till 78 there was no institute in higher education, and in 78 these three institutes came up, and then of course there's no looking back. Now under the umbrella of Bharati Vidyapeeth there are 180 plus institutions. In our university we have 40 plus institutions catering to all streams of education, from health science to law to management to even areas like performing arts, photography, environmental education and so on and so forth. So I think majority of you are alumni, some of them are the students. I'm sure you are aware about the Bharati Vidyapeeth, the legacy that our founder has left, and the path and the way on which we are walking. We also have something like a celebration of birthday of our secretary and the Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Vishwajeet Kadam, coming up after 3 days. So I think there are a series of activities lined up to celebrate these two important events in our calendar of events, and think this event, though as not a formal as just Dr. Kadvekar has said, but nevertheless holds a very important place in the various activities that we undertake in the university. And this industry academia connect, industry academia partnership, whatever name you call, but I think the dialogue between the industry and academia, which is of prime importance, because at times it is felt that I think both of them are working in silos, and we need to break the silos, we need to break the barriers. Fortunately, of late, a lot of these things are being discussed and many of these things are happening. So it's not that now that we have to start afresh. I think industry is coming together, academia is also more open than possibly was used to maybe 15 or 20 years back, or maybe long time back. So I think there is some connect between industry and academia, and it certainly needs to be strengthened, it certainly needs to be sustained, and we really need to work for each other. Because at the end of the day, as universities, our mandate is to create learners, graduates, citizens who are in some or the other way helping not just get their livelihoods, but contribute in nation building, upliftment of the society, and working for a cause. And then I think industry in its own way is also promoting all these activities in terms of coming up with products, prototypes, giving opportunities to the students, and I think in the end helping nation building and uplifting the lives of the people. So when the objectives of both these organizations are more or less identical, I think it is but natural for them to come together so that we can jointly bridge the gaps, identify the lacunas, and work in a more holistic manner. Kadvekar just said that I think there are issues on both the sides, they can be ironed out. There are the students also, I think we can say that they are proactive these days, but how they can benefit from these activities is equally important. And I'm so glad that so many of you have come. I mean, yesterday we were together, Joshi and myself, and the passion and the enthusiasm with which he was interacting with the young students, guiding them, mentoring them, and hearing them out and motivating them is something which is seen to be believed. And I was so thrilled that there are people in the industry who are passionate about working with academia and helping bridge these gaps. And that's, I think, a very positive thing that we think is happening. And thanks to Kadvekar Shravan and his team for organizing this meet, though I'm told it is happening for last very many years. Now obviously when we come, then we keep talking since we are in academia that okay, the curricula should be more industry friendly and so on, and there should be involvement. And so obviously I think it starts with the curriculum, it goes to maybe I think how we are imparting the education as to the content, the teaching, learning, so on and so forth, and then eventually the outcome. So as to how the product is. That is the learners, whether they have learned something or whether they are capable, competent and so on and so forth. And when they are capable or competent, so obviously they look at career options in the form of maybe a job or maybe some entrepreneurship or higher education or whatever they may want to pursue in research or in whatever other areas. So I think that's the kind, and the students would certainly look forward to you to guide them, mentor them, and with your experience you will be able to maybe tell them that okay, I mean this is in academics, but in real world this is what is required. And since we are talking of real world, I think by default, by choice, I have to be as a chairperson of the selection committee for selecting our staff, and we have to conduct interviews. And I mean in last 7-8 years as Vice-Chancellor and before that also, I've been conducting interviews from the positions of deans, directors to maybe assistant professors to even some technical and other staff. And then the observations when we conduct interviews are that I think more often than not, the candidates, they're not really confident about themselves. I mean, so I think the first thing, I mean, they may be having, I mean, a good knowledge, they may have good grades, they may be, I think, having whatever necessary skills, but then expressing them out in a very confident way, carrying themselves up with pride and dignity. I think that is something which, I mean, I feel, as I said, that when somebody comes for an interview for a position of assistant professor, associate professor or professor, and then I say that okay, you have to engage a class of 60 students or 100 students, and if you yourself are uninspiring, how are you going to inspire the 100 odd students who are going to be sitting in front of you? So I think the point is that I think as students, now if you are going to face interviews, if you are going to be preparing for that, also I think number one I feel is that you need to have a belief in yourself. That well, I mean, and I mean in the conversation while we were having a cup of coffee before coming here, I think the same point was coming loud and clear. That as to, I think we feel, I mean, oh well, whether I am good enough or not, and that self-doubt and that lack of confidence, I think that's something which we all really need to get rid of. So I think body language, I mean be confident, don't be ashamed of what you're doing. I mean it may be a job worth it or may not be worth it, just a stepping stone. But why should somebody be ashamed of something which which is necessary? I mean, many people ask me, I am a surgeon. And then, I mean, now I am into administration or academic leadership. So do you miss surgery? Well, I say, I miss surgery, but I enjoy my job more than what I used to do in surgery. So as long as you're enjoying, as long as you're able to give best to whatever you're doing, otherwise if you're cursing, "Arey nahi, main ye kahan phas gaya administration mein, this is not my cup of tea, I'm here because nobody else took up this," I think it's like cursing oneself, and I think you're being there and you're not doing justice to the job. So if you're there, be confident, be whatever you feel like your oneself, then only you will be able to give justice, and then that confidence also comes. I was reading one article, sorry I'm taking a little long, but I was reading one article, and I think since many of you would be mentoring students as to how do they go out for their interviews and something, so they said that when this candidate walks in, correct me if I'm wrong, but when the candidate walks in, 90% of the decision is already made by the time the candidate sits and looks and that whether he or she is good enough or not. So I mean, how they present themselves, how they walk, how is their body language, whether they are able to maintain that eye contact, whether they are able to communicate effectively or not. I think it is very important. And one of the thing which I keep saying, as I said again and again, that I am from a medical background and we deal with patients. And we have resident doctors who are 24/7 in the hospitals and so on and so forth. So I see many a times resident doctors coming in this torn or ripped jeans. I mean, they may be expensive, but they come in those jeans or they wear t-shirts and maybe they are coming in their flip-flops or chappals or whatever it is. I said, come on, yaar, you're dealing with a person, you yourself, if you're looking sick, how you're going to be maybe giving a confidence to that patient, why he should maybe allow you to examine you or operate you or treat you or something like that. So, अभी हमारे यहाँ पे इतने सारे लोग हैं, नहीं पता नहीं मुझे कौन से रोल मॉडल रहते हैं कि वो ऐसे कपड़े. So I think I'm not saying every day you need to wear a suit or a tie or something like that. But we must certainly carry ourselves with pride and dignity. In fact, one simple suggestion I can give is that मैं 2-3 जगह पे बोला हूँ कि आप कॉलेज में in the corridors, near the lift or in the staircase, you put some full life-size mirrors. Let the students see themselves when they are walking up and down the corridor. Okay, how am I looking today? अगर वो थोड़ा सा if they themselves feel no, I should comb my hairs, I should sport if many of them are sporting beard, they should have their beard well groomed. I think that these simple measures. I studied in a boarding school where we had to polish our shoes every day, and if our shoes were not polished, we were given punishments. So we're trained to be in Fauj, military, but for reasons I went to medicine, and so I think these simple acts, and I can vouch, I can guarantee. By the way, majority of them are girls, and girls present themselves in a much better, much dignified, much better way. So that's for the other half to really take note of. So I think if अगर आपने अच्छे जूते पहने, जूते पॉलिश हो, कपड़े अच्छे पहने, तो I'm sure you'll feel confident. And nothing, you don't have to really invent or have something like a rocket science or something. So the simple measures, how do you communicate and be at ease with yourself. You don't have to impose that, no, I'm someone else or something. If you're good in English, fine. If you're good in whatever language, that's also fine. I'm sure the person who's talking to you understands that, okay, English is not your mother tongue, and so maybe you're struggling with that particular language. But doesn't matter, as long as you're able to communicate what you want to say in the better way, in a clear way, the purpose is served. So I think you have to be your own self, you have to be confident, you have to be very positive with a positive outlook, and if you have that, then I'm sure that you will be able to maybe achieve whatever it is. And finally, I think since we are in academic institutions, हमारा जो curriculum or maybe for whatever your certification, etc. But reflect on these activities. Why you are doing it? What is the purpose? And if that purpose is being achieved or not. So somehow in our academics, we never ask students or for that matter faculty members to reflect on. Reflect on means, again somebody will say, ये क्या jargon है, reflection वगैरह, हमें तो कुछ मालूम नहीं. So reflect on is nothing. I'll just tell a simple question. Reflect on is that experience, EDIT, experience, describe, inference, transfer. Management jargon. Sorry if I am including your field. Or what happened? So what next? What happened? Experience. So if you have done a project, if you have attended a class, if you have gone somewhere, so that's an experience. Then so what? So what? क्या हुआ? ये attend किया तो क्या? Did you learn anything? Did it make any difference to you? Was it meaningful? So ask yourself, so what and so what and so what? till you are not able to answer that so what. So you'll be able to go a little deep in that. And then based on that so what next? Okay, I have come to this stage and then I need to go to this. So if you are able to reflect on your experiences, if you are able to maybe, go a little deeper, then the purpose of learning is achieved. Friends, I have taken more than what I was supposed to. But then when the students are there, then the teacher inside, by choice or by default, comes out. Sorry if some repetitive things which possibly you wanted to say, if I already said something. As I said, that I hope that this industry academia partnership or this summit comes out fruitful. I am very sure that we have a battery of experts here who have come from across the different sectors in industry, and you are on the verge of now going into the real world. So I think from the comforts of the college, from the supervision, from the comforts of your home, you are going to be in this world where you're going to be facing challenges every now and then. So I'm sure these sessions will help you to prepare these challenges, navigate, I won't say this death valley, but these certainly not so easy things to do. But I'm sure that with the training you get, with the mentorship you will be getting now, you will be able to overcome these challenges and come out successfully. So on that note, wishing you the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening address and for setting a strong direction for today's proceedings. Now, it is our honor to introduce our chief guest for today's summit, Honorable Mr. Amol Joshi, sir, Managing Director at Accenture, India. With over 25 years of rich leadership experience, Mr. Joshi has been at the forefront of large-scale digital and SAP-led transformations across global enterprises such as Google, Apple, Fitbit, and Boeing. His career spans impactful roles at Accenture and Vodafone, where he has successfully managed multidisciplinary teams and complex global client engagements. With proven expertise in scaling large accounts and managing portfolios of over 2,000 resources, he is known for building high-performing teams and driving exceptional business outcomes. Mr. Joshi has played a pivotal role in delivering multi-year, multi-country systems integration projects and in building centers of excellence while spearheading automation initiatives across industries. His experience also spans pre-sales leadership, solution design, estimations, and engaging with CXOs and senior customer executives across global markets. A strong believer in innovation, agility, and excellence, Mr. Joshi brings invaluable perspectives on how technology shapes modern enterprises. I now request Mr. Amol Joshi, sir, to take the stage and address the gathering with his insightful words. I also request all dignitaries present on the dais to please take their respective seats for the address.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much, VC sir and Director sir. I think after listening to you all, most of the things are already covered. So the slides is something that I have, and without slides, nothing much in the corporate world that we do, right? That's what many feel that we create few slides and that's it. And I'll start with my introduction, but before that, this place is very important for me, and I was here last week to meet Director Sir and some of the colleagues of him to get the context why I'm here, what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'll be covering some of those aspects of context versus content, etc. in this discussion. And some of the words that is Death Valley and some of the words that it's not like that, it's a fun. Yeah, you're in the Death Valley, but you have to have a fun in the Death Valley. So, most of the introduction points been covered. Couple of things which are not covered. In my also role, which I mentioned here, is disability inclusion. That's my passion. As part of that passion, Kavita Murukku madam sitting here, we know each other from that perspective very well. She's very determined toward the cause. And yesterday I was there in Architecture College where there was a Solvathon event organized where Mrs. Sir also there. And the reason to go there is there was a small a group of 4, let's say 9th standard kids from Hon'ble sir. They didn't know English, but they were passionate. They were passionate to solve a problem which they thought it's a problem they see around. And they came up with a stick, which is a smart stick for visually impaired. And the reason I'm starting my whole discussion, because beyond the degree, correct? You'll get a degree, but once you get out into the market, it has to be beyond the degree. Now those 9th standard had no degree, but they wanted to solve a problem. And I think as Vijay sir has covered, having that mindset to solve a problem is extremely important. And I understand as an MCA and MBA and BBA students out here. We'll get to some of the details, but one of the things which struck me is impression. And I remember when I got my engineering, I studied in Sangli. I come from a very small hometown in district Satara. Did my 12th there, went to Sangli, did my engineering. And after that, the first lesson which my uncle taught me is your first impression is last impression. Whatever first impression that you carry, and if you want to change that, then mammoth effort that you need to put on to change that impression. So first believe where you are going and what impression that you want to give. And is that coming just by looking at you, just by having the basic discussion points that you're putting forward? Is that the impression that you're giving to the people that you really want to give impression? It might be interview, might be the students, any place. So let's get going. I wanted to actually cover a few things, and this is coming out of most of the points been covered in some or other aspects, but education, the learning, correct? I want to spend some time because I remember when we were learning, our goal was to learn once, and this is like getting a shot of vaccination. It's for life, I'm done, and that's me. I'm an engineer, and I'm going to do this. But what has changed over the years is the loop. And whatever has been discussed so far is the right side of this slide. And I really want to have you all to pay some attention to that. And we just say learn, apply. The third word is unlearn. And again, relearn. Correct? Director sir talked about this half-life. Correct? Unless and until you understand the half-life of what your technology that you're working in or business context that you're working in, it's going to be extremely difficult to sustain and build a career. Job everybody will do. And always I tell and talk with my team is, you're here to do careers. Correct? Job and money making and all that, anybody and everybody can do it. But building a career is critical. So coming from this is the topic which I wanted to put here is, I think since you're students, I took an example of gym, correct? We start gym. Correct? We go there 6 months, not 6 is like even long is what I'm saying. We start on the 1st January, 2nd January, correct? Not 1st, 2nd. Possibly February, March, by then we are done. And then for those 2-3 months, we feel so good inside, we see the bicep, tricep every day in the mirror. And then that's it, correct? Don't do that. Unless and until you put consistency, you will not achieve that great body that you wanted to have. And one more thing, I can keep on talking, so do the timeout. Now this is my favorite, and when we were talking in the boardroom, there's easily there's almost like 200 years of experience sitting in those front rows. Easily 200 years, if I was just counting. And believe me, at least I am feeling, and you can see and hear from many of these experts that to me, this is the most exciting time of our careers. Most exciting. For many, many, many reasons. One of the reasons is this word GenAI. Correct? Now, since from a technology changing, it has taken the forefront. I remember technology in the old companies, there used to be somebody like sitting in the corner doing the data entry. Correct? उसको भेज दो data entry करने के लिए. Computer नहीं चल रहा है. That's the IT department. Correct? But the technology is sitting as a heart of every business today. Correct? And that heart is getting shocks, consistent shocks. And the recent shock that we all got in 2022 with ChatGPT. All of us, suddenly ChatGPT happened to all of us. Correct? And I remember there were discussions on IT stocks tumbled down. What really happened? Everybody thought that it's done. GenAI is going to start coding every day, everything. GenAI will do this, GenAI will do that. It's been 3 years. Actually, IT stocks are doing better than they were doing 3 years back. Why? Because it's a technology. Unless it is implemented in the business context, it's useless. And the reason I'm bringing this to you here is there is an MCA and MBA. That the slides that you're seeing here are being generated using one of our multiple GenAI tools. How many of you think so? Correct? Yes, I used it. But the most important thing is the context part of it. I came here, I spent some time with your director and so on to understand the context why I'm here. GenAI, if you go to YouTube today, you'll see several videos talking about it. But unless and until me bringing my context to this, it's useless. I'm not representing Accenture. I'm representing Amol Joshi as a brand. And why I'm saying this? Because you all need to create your brand. Unless and until you create your brand, it's going to be extremely difficult to build your businesses or build your careers. So again, I'm not reading the slides in the interest of time, but please do ensure, correct, whatever you do, unless you bring the context, content is available, it's cheap, correct, and then say, context is rare and priceless, content is out there, correct. Today, actually the problem is the content, more content than ever. You go to Gemini, it will use some content, everybody will use some content, and you're confused which content to use, correct. And that confusion will create more problems. Today, when we talk to CIOs and CXOs and CTOs, their problem is that. Their problem is so much of content. And not able to put that content to the context to solve the business problem. And this is my favorite, believe me. It's called as T. It's called T because you have to have a depth in whatever you are. I mean, MCAs, you need to have a depth in, say, Java full stack. Correct? Somebody has to come to you as Java full stack. But just being a Java full stack is not going to be enough in today's world. You have to have a breadth. That's where this whole T comes in. Correct? So vertical knowledge of whatever expertise you are in. And parallelly, you have to have the breadth of various things. So, for example, when I go meet, as I was saying, I run business for Google for Accenture. It's almost $100 million worth of money that we make there. It's not easy because the people and the client that I'm talking, they're extraordinarily brilliant. They're best in what they do. Now, why do they talk with me unless and until they see a value in talking with me? Suppose, and typically what happens in the morning, I end up talking about supply chain. In the afternoon, there is a discussion around finance, and by evening, it's a talent or HR. Now, am I expert in everything? No. But at least I have a context that I'm bringing to them, the table. I have a technology context, I have a domain context, and I have a context of the market that they're working in. And that's the only reason they will talk with me. Correct? And some of the clients that I was pretty lucky to work with. I remember working at Apple in Silicon Valley. And the reason I'm giving that example because you'll see most of them in jeans, t-shirts, some sneakers, and you will not talk with them because they are not in blazers. And we are like trained our brains due to whatever reason that unless and until somebody is in blazer, tie, suit, they don't have knowledge. And I used to get my Accenture experts to come to Apple, and the first thing is to tell them, please keep your blazer in the car. Absolutely, because suddenly there is a client sitting next to you and he's seeing you in a blazer. He says, no, this guy don't understand my culture. Correct? So do KYC. I will always tell to my team, please do KYC. If you are going to go to Apple, sitting in front of Apple with your Samsung phone on a table, you are done. Correct? So by the way, since we are talking about Apple, how many of you have Apple phones? How many of you have more than one Apple phones? Okay. The reason I'm asking is, why do you need an Apple?
It's a very secure phone.
Secure phone. I love this answer. Now, an MBA student, worth a lakh plus, need a secure phone to do what? What is that you're carrying in your phone that needs so much of security? Correct. And where I'm going is, I'm not ridiculing you for having an Apple phone, but it's the mindset that what is the use case? Where I'm driving you is why I am doing something. What is the use case? I need a phone. Why I need a phone? Correct? Because today you're buying this 1, 2, 3 iPhones because your parents are giving you. Once you start earning yourself, probably you will say, nah, I will use it 3 more years. Correct? And this example resonates with this generation because they need latest. They don't know why. Correct? The reason I'm coming and to the next slide is context. Unless and until you understand why you're doing something, you're never able to bring it to the table. So I'm having a couple of cases. I think in the interest of time we will go a little further, but I have one case where it was thought of by the MCA students, correct, for the more technology, correct, but how it is important for a technology student to have a functional context, and in this case, it's more about a finance use case. Unless and until the technology student understands the finance part of the use case, you are not able to build that trusted system. Correct? I hope you agree. And the second is for the MBA students. And unless and until the MBA student understand what the technology at their doorstep, how they can effectively use the technology, they will again not able to build that fantastic use case. And I think I brought in the marketing example here because I was discussing here with Director Sir. The marketing with technology and the analytics, and the lethal combination is what I got to know for marketing MBAs. But unless and until the MBA student today, and again, I get a lot of MBA students coming in my team, engineering and MBAs. There are distinct characteristics that they bring to the table. As VC Sir said, the first thing they think they know everything. That's the first. And depends upon what college they are coming from. If they are coming from IITs, then they are the gift to the mankind. Correct? Then there is the next level. Then there is the next level. And it becomes so difficult for them to get to a client context. And just recently, one of the very complex projects that we are doing for Google for their devices team is finance integration, and it was very complex with the asset and this and that. And we got like 3 very bright finance MBA students. It was struggle. They were struggling like anything. A couple of them had to have even so-called mental assistant because they were not ready for this world. And as Director Sir and VC Sir said, you have to be ready. And from there, I'm leading you to this context. Unless and until you are falling, and please read this. This is extremely important for all of you. This is extremely important for all of you because in today's world, unless and until your productivity is 2x, now that x comes differently in different industries. It's going to be difficult for you to survive in whatever you're doing. And say, oh, 2x, is it possible? Absolutely it's possible. How it is possible? Is this 1, 2, 3. First, ensure that you use the tools and technology and this whole GenAI thing to your absolute betterment. Unless and until you do that, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to survive into this whole extreme productivity. And productivity means is like, you have to do it. Correct? It's not a option anymore. Correct? You have to be faster, more effective, more relevant. And the second thing you must have heard multiple times. Correct? Humans who are using AI as their co-pilot are the more lethal and critical for this industry, and they will be replacing anyone who don't use it. And the last one is again the T which I explained, master. Master something so that you have been known for. When we go and say, what is your USP? People struggle. In interview, typically my first question, what is that you want to be known for? People will give whatever, and possibly after 2 minutes you ask the same question, they will not repeat. Because they have made up something in their mind, they will tell, and that's my interview is typically over there. If the person is able to tell the same thing after 2 minutes, especially the MBA students, I will pick them up. Because they know they're having clarity what they want to be known for. The last line here, I put it again very purposefully, please read that. Correct? Don't make the technology lazy, correct, for you. You don't become lazy because of, hey, I don't need to read this, I don't need to read this book, correct? But use it to become like more lethal and dangerous, correct? That word again says, hey, what do you mean by dangerous? Dangerous is for your own self, correct? Please listen to this carefully because world out there is expecting you to use all these technologies and be a dangerous or to more relevant to this entire corporate world. Now, some of these things been covered by me and other speakers, but one important thing I'm covering is the human. You'll have more discussion. There are so many very respected and experienced individuals sitting in the front 2 rows. We have seen enough. We have seen enough change, we have seen enough disruption, we have seen enough when it comes to the life had changed multiple times in our careers. But what has not changed and what will not change is the human aspect of it. It will never change. AI will be always there, it's been created by us. And my actually son always tells me that, hey, are you using Insta? I said, no, I'm on Facebook. Facebook is old, for you guys it's old. I said, we created Facebook, we created Insta, we created all this. So the generation sitting here, though we look more experienced, for you it might be old, but we are very smart. And you're coming to us and ask for a career. So if you have a CV, which is created by GenAI, and which you are not able to read, I'm pretty sure there will be few English words you will not be able to read yourself. You're done in your interviews. Correct? And then I was talking to the director, he said, Amol, please mention this. It's very important for you all to know that the people sitting on the other side of the chair are the ones who created all these technologies for you. So do not fool them. Okay? So, the important point here is the human part of it. Please be more human. You need to have more empathy. You have to have those skills to sit across the table and discuss multiple points with other humans. Otherwise, soon you will report to a chatbot or you will report an agent. Correct? Some agent will give you feedback. If you don't remain your agent, if you yourself become a machine. This is my last slide, and this is a call for action. And the word land is today. That is most important. as you, I understand, in the last years of your respective courses, you don't have enough time now. You have to go and act on this today. What do you need to do? You need to first prepare your portfolios. The time has gone where you have a CV and there's a link to the LinkedIn somewhere and you say, hey, this is my CV. The time is gone. You have to have your own portfolio. If you're a technologist expert, bring some code, bring some app, bring something that you have developed, not Jenny has developed. I'm telling you, you will fail in the interview. If somebody is going to ask you 2-3 questions and you're not able to answer. Second, network. Again, that whole human aspect of it. Correct? Again, for me, coming here is drawing a lot of energy from you, network with you, but the wealth of experience and knowledge I'm going to earn from this group is enormous. So please continue to network, and believe me, many of you will build more businesses and be fantastic careers, and suddenly say, hey, we were there in that college together, and now suddenly you start gelling further. So continue to build a network. Third, I think from the first slide we are talking about it, ability to unlearn, learn, unlearn, learn, but there is no choice. There is no choice for all of us. So I spent the last week of the December actually, not partying, but there was an 80 hours of training that I had to do on Genia. Because if I need to go and sit across Google, who is there in the technology, and say, hey, don't worry, I know. I cannot go and say that I know something. Correct? But I need to be relevant in understanding what they know and what they are talking. So please ensure that you continuously learn and learn and have that ability. And the last one, to become ones who can explain what AI is doing. Correct? AI will give so many things. Correct? But you as a human, you should be able to explain. And that's where the last quote is, or the line is. Correct? The world is full of what? Be the person who provides the why. Architect your future, but be the human in the loop. With that, big thank you and best wishes. Here to take any questions, any comments. And so said that this group is very vocal. They may ask any question, so I'm actually very uncomfortable to hear any question right now.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ramchandra from MBA first year. Sir, I would like to ask, what are the challenges you face while handling a multinational clients or multinational projects?
So when you say multinational, I assume that you're talking about a client which is present in multinational?
Yes, sir. Clients and projects.
Okay. So the clients, when we call it a multinational, let's take an example, you want to say Google, correct? When multi-nations or geographies come in the picture, correct? Every geography has its own challenge. Its taxation is different, the languages are different, the cultures are different, the way they buy is different, the currencies are different, correct? So you can create something which is a common for all, but you have to localize it to the country, correct? So this is called as localization in the global world. It's called as localization. So unless and until you are able to localize something, you're never able to buy it, correct? Like a GPay has to have a lot of localization done for India versus in Manila, correct? So that is about the client. For a project, if the project is running in multi-country and you are running that project, you but have to understand cultures better, correct? I remember I was executing a project sitting in Netherlands. My team was sitting in Chennai, and we were implementing for ABN AMRO Bank SAP Brazil. So Brazil, it's all Portuguese. Half of the country don't understand English. So there was just look at the scenario. A Chennai individual is talking English which the Dutch guys are not understanding. So I have to understand this English and talk in English so that the translators could understand that English, then translate into Portuguese. Then they will translate it to their team. So I remember used to have 2 issues discussed in 1 hour. Literally 2 issues. So it's all humans, correct? But understanding the language, culture, the way things operate is difficult and different. So that aspect of human will always there. Okay? Thanks for asking the question.
Hello, sir. Hello. I'm Manish. However, I'm an analyst, but I would like to ask one question since I'm pretty much involved into research into communication, right? Now, as I've been researching for the past 10 plus years, especially with the major technologies, like whether it is Microsoft, OpenAI, we talk about Sam Altman or Satya Nadella, right? Now, as per the recent research which have came up, whether it is from LinkedIn, right, or World Economic Forum, right, and since the AI has taken the highest momentum, right, so it is being talked about, especially with these high-trained people that of course AI has a lot of trends still to cover, but the human skill is going to capture. Capture the AI, trend. However, AI is important, but it is human skill which is going to take the charge. To navigate the AI revolution. So let's say what I found. Following my research, what I found is like Sam Altman said that, hey, look, since I built up an AI, the guy who can, express the thoughts or feelings or ideas in a conscious manner. That's the skill number 1 they should have. Now, recently, your new post in the Hindu, I found that Satya Nadella said that the skills, it was like the skills that the current workforce should have. So he emphasizing emotional intelligence. So now, since you are here, I don't know whether I'll get the opportunity to speak to you in person, yes or no. Since Accenture is, of course, is a major global brand. So how is Accenture taking care of the emotional intelligence part, the communication part, the collaboration part, the critical thinking part, wherein the AI studies them? So do you feel that, yes, really do they matter? Because they're having a lot of research, especially from the IT fraternity, right, sir? These of the companies that despite AI such is there, but communication still remains the top priority from the employer side. Now, there is again a major challenge that today in organizations, IT or whatsoever, right, there hasn't been a single tool where anybody can measure the employee's communication or certainly personal intelligence. It is all based on your personal measurement skills. So how do you look at it, and what you would like to say? Anyways, I'll be sitting over there, as analyst, and talking to students, but being you, more experienced than me, how does this human skills, especially communication and emotional intelligence, as rated as the top 2 skills on priority, will be helpful for the students whether in MBA or in MCS?
So I think, thank you first of all, and we'll be happy to hear from you doing a lot of research. So I will go to the era of science, correct? And individuals like him, and today we see Sharad Pawar, or many other, what is best that they carry? The best that they carry is the interpersonal skill. The ability to remember one's name once they meet once, correct? Still is more relevant than AI, correct? And today, so I don't know how many of you from the era used to write the phone numbers in our diaries, correct? But at least we used to have 15, 20 numbers that we used to remember, minimum. Today, maximum we remember 3 to 4 numbers. Because we don't need to remember anyone. Is that our ability has gone? No. If still my phone is lost or I will still remember. But I don't need to anymore. Correct? Now, what has changed is what I was talking to the slide there. We have become lazy. correct? As an individual, once we get more and more tools and more easy techniques, we will lose our cognitive abilities. Unless and until, as a human being, we use the technology as a co-pilot, correct? And continue to lead by empathy, by ensuring that this whole cognitive ability is training the context, correct? Nobody can change. And it will remain till the time humans are on this earth. And when there was no technology, this was still important. We are in the AI, Gen AI, agentic AI, correct? The AI exists for like many years. What has changed is really the computing. What has really changed is the speed of internet, correct? What has changed since the chat GPT happened till today is the NVIDIA servers, correct? The chips. Okay? So technology will keep on changing, we have to learn. But there is no choice or no substitute since the days of this institution was established or before that and going forward of our cognitive abilities and empathy. Thank you. So my time is up, or any more questions?
So good evening, my name is Shweta. I am from MBA second year. My question is, what were the most critical leadership lesson you learned over your 25-year journey?
Okay. So I'm not one of those who write the leadership books, or I practically never read any of them. But one thing I always follow is Bhagavad Gita. Correct? There is nothing in this world which will tell you about leadership than Bhagavad Gita. Now, Bhagavad Gita, that whole thing, why should we know, correct? Many of you think that. If you do it now, in this age, you'll understand what is leadership. Leadership is not management. First, many believe like I'm a project manager, hence I'm a leader. No, you're not. Correct? Can you build a leadership? Yes, but many are born leaders. Many have it, but you need to kind of give yourself that chance to fail, learn. Correct? Do not hesitate to take feedback. Something I always do is take a feedback. There will be a lot of people who will come and say, hey, you're done fantastic. Possibly that's great, but someone will okay. But in this 2-3 things you would have done this way, I will take. But one thing I have to tell you, leadership is not sitting in the back. Leadership is standing in front. Okay? So lead by example, lead by empathy, and lead by showing, by doing yourself. Okay? That's me.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for sharing your views and your experience with us. My question is, what skills do you feel are relevant even if roles and technology is changing constantly?
Just 2 days back, I wrote a simple email to my team, going back to basics. What has not changed since I used to do a lot of SAP programming, and at the heart I'm an SAP guy, correct? It's a very linear programming, then the Java, this, that, whatever. Everything has happened, Python came in, but basics of programming has not changed. And will never change. Basics of finance has never changed. Supply chain, same. So what I'm saying is, unless and until you have your basics clear, the ability to put things in a perspective and a very simple manner, whatever changes from a technology or business context, you will still be relevant. Okay? So ensure that you understand the basics, and another thing, common sense. Very uncommon. Correct? Build the ability to kind of think through what is I should be doing in the current scenario if I apply common sense. Correct? So you will not buy another iPhone if you have one, if you apply common sense. Correct? Yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
Sir, I have one more question for you. I am very interested in consulting. So I wanted to ask you what mindset shift I need to have when I am in global consulting or what mindset I should have when dealing with client relationship?
So you asked, I think, multiple questions. There's a client relationship angle and there's a consulting angle.
Consulting.
Again, client relationship we talked, KYC, know your client. If you are a client, and always think if you are a client, what will you do? And I always give an example of this carpenter who comes to our home, correct? They are the best examples of agile delivery, client value, everything. So sale-wise delivery and building more business. They are the perfect because they come home and they exactly know that this guy is just going to pay. The actual client is the better half, correct? And they will do everything possibly to ensure that the better half is happy, correct? Then at the end, there will be some material left out. They will build some small thing and they will give it as a free from your own material. And you suddenly, I am getting something free. So unless and until client sees a value, and it's very difficult to understand and quantify a value. Every client will be different. Unless and until client sees a value in whatever you're doing, they will have no interest to build a relationship with you. Consulting, again, it's a big thing. There's a lot of impact due to GenAI because everybody is doing the Google search earlier. Now they're going to chat and they're getting a lot of content out there, which consultants used to prepare slides and give for like $1 million. Now ChatGPT has taken that job. Now, as a consultant, unless and until you bring the context to it, nobody's going to listen to you. Correct? So to have a context, you have to read. You have to understand. Correct? Now, recently there was a discussion around supply chain, and then on my team actually we run whatever we see on the Google, correct, from a supply chain perspective, the entire cloud infrastructure. What has changed is the war or the tariff has suddenly put a lot of restrictions and issues on supply chain. Now, if I go to my client and say, hey, Amol, there is this situation happening, and I have no idea what situation happening in the market, they will not talk with me again. Correct? So having an understanding of global politics, geopolitics, what is happening around you, what is happening on the client's business, correct? Understand to bring that context onto the table, there is nothing like a consulting for you anymore. Okay?
Good evening, sir. Myself, Anshika. I'm a BBA Marketing third year student. So first of all, a pleasure to have you here. So my question is, how can we use or benefit from AI in our professional lives or the career? We have not started yet because there was a line in the PPT that AI is not going to replace us, but a person who has mastered it can replace us. So how can we be the person to master it?
I think in your question, you answered yourself. Correct? You have to be a student of AI. You have to be a student of technology throughout your life. Because the half year of that technology is possibly, I remember I used to do ABAP and 15, 20 years, nothing changed. And suddenly it became an object-oriented. And half of the ABAPers were out of their job because they had no understanding of object-oriented ABAP. Correct? Then it took possibly 3-4 years to again change it. Then again 1 year to change it. So the space at which the things are getting changed in technology is too fast. Understand and absolutely have a mastery on the basics of this AI technology, agentic AI, what it means, how it works, which tool you are going to use, correct? Which model you are going to use, how much you are going to use, is the next thing it will keep on changing. So spending time and doing a mastery on the basics of this technology is extremely essential. Okay?
Thank you so much, sir.
Done? Thank you. Thank you very much. Last point for everyone. I was listening to some of these individuals here and amount of time and passion that they carry for other things than what they do for their living So I want to leave you with a very important aspect. Focus on your well-being. When I say well-being, it's your mental well-being, physical well-being, financial well-being, and well-being of your loved ones. Spend time on whatever you like. Have a hobby. This all will continue to change. If you don't, like inside you're not well, everything is useless. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking address. Your perspectives on technology leadership, innovation, and inclusive growth have set a strong direction not only for today's summit but also in the lives of all young graduate